introducing Unforgettable. Boy, it's been unforgettable the last 2 or 3 days, hasn't it, Mrs. Busby?
Yeah, this isn't pretty.
Well, that's a fair way to put it. We have some interesting ladies this morning. But first, ladies, we always try to start out with a viewpoint. Been doing this for a long time. A kudo or two. I kind of ran out of kudos. But I came up with one. Oh, well, not really. There's so much going on. But I'm just going to, with your permission, by your leave, as they say.
He thinks I have some authority. Nobody has littler than I.
My personal kudo this morning would be to our son, Gregory James Gossett, who would be 53 years old today. The kudo part is that at that tender age, he has been able to retire from the Department of Corrections after a very fine career. Started out as a raw recruit coming out of that academy down there in Springfield, and months and weeks and years went by, and the first thing you know, he'd worked himself up to be a warden. So he quit at the top of his game. And so kudos to Greg, and happy birthday to you, my boy.
My youngest, my baby, is the same age as Greg. She was 50 a couple years ago, and that was a really significant emotional event for me, because I thought, well, there goes my telling people I'm 39. They'll never buy it now.
Did I tell you they didn't buy that a long time ago?
Probably not, but I was living under delusions of grandeur once again.
Well, I've seen you under those illusions many times. All right, let's get serious about this. We have this is kind of a personal thing for the old fellow to have one of our guests with us. One of the things that I can say is that Gina and I helped Educator, as a matter of fact, because we were both patients of their parents.
Yes.
So we can say rightfully that we did help educate our young lady. So why don't you go right ahead and introduce these ladies?
Yes, I would be proud to. Toni Reifsteck has brought with her Emily Hauter, and they represent the Logan County Department of Public Health today. And with them is their friend, who's Emily's intern, and she's a student. Brianna is her name. She's a student at ISU, and evidently going to go into public health.Uld that be true?
Yes.
Good for you. Good calling. Real good calling. They're with oh, by golly, what happened to the Illinois Department of Public Health? They didn't have any water? The state department, because they didn't pay their bill?
Yeah, down south somewhere.
Yeah, that's kind of too bad, you know, but that's what happens. You don't pay your bills.
Pretty hard to rinse
cut
those
off your water. Well, be that as it may, we do still have water here in Lincoln, and Emily presented a program that Toni arranged at St. John's United Church of Christ here in Lincoln, and Toni was so impressed she brought Emily up here to present it to us. And we've all heard about these kits that you can get. I can't the name is something very technical, and the kit itself is technical, but you're trying to introduce it to Logan County so that we can save young people who get themselves in trouble with drugs. What is the title of this program, Emily?
It's called the Logan County Narcan Program.
The Logan County
Narcan Program?
Narcan, right. Now it's coming back to me.
She is a fast study, though. I'll let you. Go ahead, Emily.
So the kits are, they contain naloxone, which is the overdose reversal drug. And so we would like in Logan County to have our police and first responders have them on them for when they get to the scene of an overdose.
Now, would that include having one at the high schools or even the junior highs in the county?
I hadn't actually thought of that, but that's a very good idea.
Is it a difficult thing to administer?
No, there's simple training that would I'd like for people to be CPR certified, because CPR is part of, could be part of the administration of the Narcan, but it's also just a simple training that I will be doing in order to teach them to administer it.
When a person overdoses on drugs, how do they react to having taken more than they should have? What's the normal reaction? Is it a blood pressure thing? Do they pass out? I've never seen it happen, so I don't know.
Well, I've tried to be very careful.
Well, I've never seen it happen either, but as far as I understand, they are not breathing they don't look like they're breathing, and they essentially show up like they are dead.
So they're like catatonic, kind of.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then, so this drug that we are wanting first responders to carry is they administer it sometimes in the ER, and a person can look completely dead, and then it's administered. We would like to do it nasally, and then the person can come back immediately.
Now, what drug does this Narcan counteract?
It's heroin, for the most part.
Strictly heroin, or primarily heroin.
Primarily heroin, yeah.
Is heroin pretty rampant in this area?
Yeah, we have a large problem here in Logan County.
Isn't that a sad commentary? You know, we've had law enforcement folks in here from time to time, and at one point in time maybe it wasn't as prevalent, and then all of a sudden it starts to take a rise again, and now it's my understanding that we do have a kind of rather a serious problem as far as heroin is concerned here, and I find that just kind of mind-boggling. That's a very expensive drug, isn't it?
Expensive hobby. Well, when one of my grandkids was in high school, I was asking her about what the level of usage of drugs, illegal drugs, was at the high school, and she said, well, they were introducing an awful lot of heroin, and she said they sell it real cheap to the people, and then when the people get so that they want more, then the price kind of goes up, and so they're hooked now, and they need it.
Right.
So the crime
It is.
rate goes up.
Oh, sure. You got that's not like bowling. This is an expensive hobby. This drug business. Yeah, and you got to have a lot of money. So chances are, if you're in high school, you don't have a profession yet. So you got to do something to feed your habit. So I suppose that's robbing the local folks, right?
That and your parents, and anywhere you can really get it. Anywhere you can get money is where you're going to get money.
Yeah.
Miss Hauter, I'd like to digress just a minute and go back to your education, your quote formal education. Happily, you stayed in the just like father and mother and grandfather in the medical profession, and that's something of which you should be very proud. And,
Thank you.
Tell us when you went to the University of Illinois, and kind of pick us up from there how you got into this part of medicine, if you will, please.
Okay, so I went to Southern Illinois University down in Carbondale, and I
Wrong again.
and I took a degree in community health education, and I finished that, and then while I was waiting to get a job, I worked at my dad's office and as a receptionist, and then I got a job here at Logan County Department of Public Health, and I did health education for the first year, and I now do health education and emergency preparedness.
And emergency what?
Emergency preparedness.
Oh, okay. Very good.
So, what's piqued your interest in this particular subject about which we're discussing this morning, this Narcan business? What kind of tripped you to get into that specialty? And indeed it is just that.
I don't know. I think that every life matters, and so a lot of the Narcan a lot of the heroin problem is done by average people it's not just a low-income population, it's everyday people that you'd run into are having a drug problem, and so we're trying to help in different ways so that we can just help those people. They have a problem and hopefully they want help.
I guess I always think in terms of the young people when I think of drugs, but I guess that's a misconception, isn't it?
Well, this kind of stuff perpetuates. The man is long gone now. My father's doctor, we found out long afterwards, being the dry clean business, his coat sleeves inside of his lines were all caked with blood on both sides, both arms. And that was a great shock to me.
Sure.
Yeah, my dad was gone by then, and I'm not sure he got the best treatment as a result of.
Well, this is why we got involved. We were talking about the education is so lacking. We're kind of ignorant to drugs and things. We're kind of in a bubble.
Well, we think we're insulated here.
Right. And how many people are prescribed a drug and then they get hooked on it because of their medical needs and everything?
Yes.
So there's all ages. But the reason we got involved at St. John's is there's just too many young people whose lives are so precious. And I would not want to be the one answering the door saying that out in the timbers we found your child. And so St. John's wants everybody in Lincoln, Logan County, to get involved, to learn about this, and to possibly get these into all the emergency things. And now Emily, I'm sure, will get it into the schools if that's a possibility. You have we were on the school board, so you know we got to go through nuts and bolts to get that to happen.
Yeah, Mrs. Reifsteck and I served together on the school board years ago.
But education's the first thing, but then you can't do anything with education if you don't have the stuff to work with it. And so St. John's invites all the civic organizations, the schools, the churches, individuals to get on board with this project. And we're going to kick off a fundraiser on the third Sunday in February at Culver's from 5 to 8. And everything that we earn from that, which is 10% of all the sales between those 3 hours, is going to go for these kits.
By the way, hats off to Culver's. They have helped an awful lot of organizations in this county.
Really, about every week they step the plate for somebody.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And swing a pretty big bat, too, by the way.
Well, it's she feels it's important. I'm kind of prejudiced there.
Well, yeah, I can understand that. Are these kits expensive, these Narcan kits?
So each kit is $132.
Boy, that's pretty cheap to save a life.
Yeah. It contains, that kit is 2 doses, which you can give one person 2 doses. And then it also includes the nasal applicators, is how we administer the drug, along with a CPR face shield, a pair of gloves, and the documentation in order for you to document what you've administered.
So if you give someone a dose of this and they start to come around, you wouldn't give them the second dose, would that be it?
Yes. But then after a certain period of time, you can administer a second one to see if they come around after the second one.
At this point in time, does like the hospital have a kit already?
They, it's not necessarily a kit, but they have the medication, the same medication that's in the kit. They have at the hospital, and I believe the ambulances have them as well.
How about our officers who are on patrol in their squad cars?
They do not, and that's what this program is going to bring.
So that would take quite a few kits by the time you get the police and the sheriff's office.
Right.
And then if you add
and they're expendable, so once they're gone, they have to be replaced with another one.
Right.
Yeah.
The genesis of this particular program, how did that get started? How did somebody discover that this particular anti-drug that you're using, how did that come about? You're aware of that, Ms. Hauter?
I'm not aware of that. I know that we brought...
Be sure and study up on that.
I'll work on that.
Get back to us.
Okay. We brought the program here because there's some other counties in Illinois that are doing the same program. And so it's working there and they're saving lives there, so we would like to do the same thing here.
How about Logan County Paramedic Association? Do they already carry something like that?
Paramedics do, yes.
And how about the rescue squads in the outlying communities?
No, they're a target for this program as well, but we'd like to start with our Lincoln and then spread out.
Whence cometh the funds to, number one, supply the initial kits, and number two, replace them when they've been expended? Where does this money come from?
We don't have any money, that's the problem.
All right, that's what I was getting at right now.
Yeah.
Is there a plan on the boards to make a special effort to raise money specifically for this cause, to set that money aside? Go ahead, Mrs. Reifsteck.
Well, how this came about is many months ago there was a young person that was
OD'd.
And I happened to be at Culver's, and the paramedics, many of them eat there frequently, and as they were leaving, I asked, what could you guys use? And he said, I'd have to go through the health department for them to have these kits, but he said that would be a life-saving if we could get it started. And that's when St. John's got involved. This is what, talking with the paramedics at the lunchtime.
Those paramedics are wonderful people.
Oh, yeah, they are, but their hands are tied because they have to have this supplied to them. And as I was talking with Emily this morning, they're out on a case. They have a kit, and maybe another vehicle comes and they have a kit. But you've got to have a kit to replace a kit if there's more than one need. And there's not refills, as she tells me, that they would have to have a total kit. So this is $100 times, I don't know how many cases we've had in Logan County.
Right.
But 2 is too many.
Well, yeah, first one is way too many, but that's inevitable. We're going to continue to have them. 648-5510. Somebody might have a question of young Miss Hauter, Emily Hauter. It's a joy to have you with us, young lady. And Toni Reifsteck. Once again, Toni kind of gets involved on the cutting edge of things that happen good in the community, and we appreciate that. Yeah. And Brianna, we're glad to have you with us this morning. We'll take a quick commercial break, and then we'll get it right back. Formulate those questions, 648-5510. Right back live in the studios here at WLCN 96.3, 648-5510. We have a young lady who's kind of a special friend of a lot of us, and it's a lot of pride to see her back in the community working in the medical profession. A young lady got her bachelor's degree down in Southern Illinois University, and has come back, and she's working on a very, very important project here as regards community health problems are concerned, particularly the drug factor. So let's pick it up from there, Ms. Hauter, and let's talk a little bit about funding of these kits. As we alluded to earlier, once you use them, they're gone, and there's an ongoing need for them in the community. And sad to say, the heroin factor is not insignificant here. Mrs. Reifsteck is involved with trying to head up some funding for these. They're not cheap. So let's go ahead, Emily, and tell us where do you get these kits? They come from some
a medical
pharmaceutical
supply company.
firm.
Yeah. And then, like I said before, the kits are $132 per kit, and that includes 2 doses of the naloxone hydrochloride, and along with the things you would need to administer, which includes the nasal applicator and the gloves and a CPR face shield.
Getting back to the CPR part, when a person has overdosed, at what point would you be doing the CPR? Do you do that first, or the Narcan first, or what?
The person is usually unresponsive, so you would do the CPR when you
Sorry.
You do the CPR when you come to the scene, and then you bring out the kit, and then and then you would administer the naloxone.
Okay.
We had a slight break in the decorum here.
You
Was
people should
surprised
be.
with the cat coming in.
You people should be darn grateful. We had a guest that we were chatting with. It was a very nice day, and the cat came in with a live bird, which she released. So you see, at least you just got the cat. Be thankful. It could be worse. Always look on the bright side. The cup's half full. Right, Jim? That was a bad day, that bird day. Man.
Judy doesn't do birds well at all.
I don't do birds. I just cowered down in my chair. I said, well, I don't do birds.
Okay.
So she's kind of demanding.
Let's put this thing back on track. But this is a need about which nobody is aware, really, because it's off the radar. And Joe and Josephine Smith on Main Street would have no cognizance of this at all, because they wouldn't be exposed to it unless they had somebody in their family that had a problem like that. So it's a problem and a cost factor about which we really know nothing as far as people on the street are concerned. And yet, it can have a very, very lasting impact on a person that needs it. Now, what happens, Emily, with if IOD, and I've been given this kit,
Yes.
for want of a better word, and I recover, and unless I'm stupid, I won't do that anymore. But the fact of the matter is, there are repeaters,
Right, and
and
so
many repeaters.
yeah, our hope is that once you've been administered the drug overdose, like the reversal drug, then you'll go to the hospital, and at that point, like rehab will be an option, and we hope that you would then take that option.
All that in a perfect world.
Right.
Yes.
It doesn't
And
always
that-
happen that way, though.
And that would be absolutely wonderful. But I suppose that there are many times where the outcome isn't quite that rosy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the economic factor then is, if, of course, these people don't have that, well, they have enough money to buy the drugs. But I'm going to say, if you can pass that charge on to them as a part of their rehabilitation, punishment, so to speak, I think that's probably pretty far-fetched to consider that would be a viable thing to do. But it just occurs to me that they've created a problem.
Right.
Why should you and I, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, pay for their problem?
Right. It's a very good idea, but I don't think that
It's not going to work.
they would let us do that.
Do the colleges here locally have the Narcan kits?
They do not, but that would also be a part. So how I got started in this is I'm part of the health department's part of Healthy Communities Partnership.
Right.
Which is
I know about that.
Yeah. It's all over Logan County and some extended areas that serve Logan County. And so I chair the alcohol, tobacco, and other destructive behaviors subcommittee of that. And so on that subcommittee, I have people from all over the community, and we have representatives from Lincoln College, and they would like to be a part of having a kit there in case it was ever needed.
So you have been in communication with them, so that
Yeah.
it's not a new subject to them?
No. I'm working with the police chief, Paul Adams, and he and I are working very closely together on this program. And then we are also doing a roundtable for the professional community that would have contact with these like heroin addicts or people that are exposed to it. So I have probation and a whole bunch of different colleges and everybody in the community. We're all getting together at the beginning of February.
Well, excuse my ignorance, please, but like a medical doctor, wouldn't encounter it because it would be quicker than that. You can't call and say, next Tuesday I'm going to overdose, I'd like to make an appointment.
Correct. So it's...
But Judy would try.
Try to be organized.
It's people like police who are the first responders when you get there. It's the paramedics. It's people like the receptionists. We even thought of that because they're the first people like that you talk to, that you call to make an appointment, that you need help. They're the people you actually talk to.
Right.
So we've invited a lot of those people to come and say, what can we change, and what do you think a possible solution for this would be?
When is your round table?
The beginning of February.
Uh-huh.
You will also be at the health fair, right?
Oh yeah, I'm also in charge of the health fair, so
Are you really?
yeah. So I will for sure be there.
And
Yes.
that is on...
That's the 5th grade. It's renamed the Wellness Expo this year. So the 5th graders come to the expo on the 19th of February, and then it's open to the community from 9 to 1 at the Park District on February 20th.
That's a very worthwhile thing for people to come to.
Yeah, we have a lot of new vendors coming this year, so it should be pretty interesting. I'm excited
That's a big
about
deal
it.
to set that up too, just logistically. There's a lot of man and lady hours that go on before that opens up on that particular Saturday.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Miss Hauter, is there an age factor which is a more predominant part of, I guess, the users? I guess that's the best word I want to use. Is what would be the average age of the users, or did it come pretty much across the gamut?
It comes to, I think it's pretty widespread. I mean, I don't think we have really young kids, like 10-year-olds using
Yeah.
it, but it's definitely in high school and as you get older.
I just wonder, it's so expensive. Of course, that's why we create crime. That's why people steal and rob, to get money for drugs, among other things. So that's not a factor there. I guess if they want it, they say they need it, and they're going to get it one way or the other. Is there where we're in the adult spectrum, 20s, 30s?
It can go up too, because from what I've heard, there is a connection between your narcotics and then leads into heroin, because the narcotics have been cut back. They're not as easy to get from the doctor because we are trying to decrease the abusers. And so when you can't have your prescription medication from your doctors, you then lead into drugs.
Is there a need for the Narcan if a person is addicted to prescription drugs?
There are certain drugs that it will reverse along with the heroin, yes.
Uh-huh. But how would you know what a person is taking? Would you just administer the Narcan in case it does help?
Yeah, the Narcan is a pretty safe drug to administer. It's not going to hurt you if you don't need it, but if you do need it, it's definitely going to help.
What does it do to you physically when you apply this nasally? How does it bring you out of this spell that you're under?
I'm not really sure all the science behind it, but I've heard stories where people come back fighting, and like, I mean, you just don't wake up, you come back out it. You're good to go. But it's only a so long last. That's why you need medical attention afterwards.
Okay.
How it gets into the bloodstream.
Yeah, it's through the blood.
It's through the bloodstream, so that's your closest blood vessels are in your nasal.
So that's how it gets in your bloodstream then it counteracts the whatever.
You can also administer it through a shot, but
Well,
that's
that'd be
a lot
hard
more
for
difficult.
people like me to do, you know.
Yeah, that's why it's easier just to administer through the nose.
Right.
That's why I think education is the best thing on everything, and that's why we've brought in Emily, because you can hand money to them and tell them buy kits, but until we educate all of us, those that are, even those that are addicted to it, might possibly, if you save one, it's been worth it.
Yes.
That's our thoughts. Every child.
Are you aware, Emily, of any, quote, wounded warrior factors involved in this great equation, or sad equation as it is? Some of our folks have been so grievously injured, and they've, of necessity, had to receive certain narcotics and so forth. I'm pretty passionate about this Wounded Warrior program. We bring home ladies and gentlemen who would never have been saved in my time. And when you see some of the shape they're in, you shake your head and wonder, well, gee, was that necessary to save them? Well, of course it was necessary to save them. That's what we do. But we bring back some folks who are just grievously injured, not only physically but also mentally, which is just as important. And I just wonder if here in Logan County we're experiencing any of that, or if you're aware of any of that in your professional work that you do with other communities and other counties.
I am not aware of that.
Happily.
But
Yeah.
probably do have.
Are you concerned at all about the medical marijuana leading to more business for you?
I don't know about that. It's kind of controversial because some people say it's a gateway, some people says it's not, and I don't know, it's approved for medical use now, so we will see where that takes us.
Well, interestingly enough, our birthday boy is involved in security. As a matter of fact, he and his associate appeared to Viewpoint with us some long time ago now. They are dispensing up in Canton, Illinois, retail-wise, medicinal marijuana. And boy, that's not cheap. I mean, when you talk about $385 an ounce is not very much. But there are those who swear by the fact that it helps them. So that's a double-edged sword out there in the public as to the merits, or if you please, the non-merits of medicinal marijuana. And I presume the medical field might have something to say about that. I think we perhaps have a.
Right now on the air.
Oh no, we don't have it. We don't have a call.
About 9 o'clock.
So tell them not to bother you, Jim. We're busy talking. Go ahead.
Well, I was thinking before we close, because I just saw the clock over here. If anybody wants to be involved in this, Emily's probably the best contact for that by calling the health department. I'll let her give that number, but
52317.
Oh.
That's the number.
Yep.
But also to show up at the health fair, she'll be available there, as will others, and to show up Sunday the 21st between 5 and 8 and help fund this program and help save a life, help get some awareness.
And you want to go over, please, again, Culver's,
That's
fundraiser.
Sunday the 21st
That's Sunday the
at
21st.
Culver's from 5 to 8.
5 to 8. So come out and have a good supper. And
Carry out, sit in, whatever.
And Emily's washing the dishes. Is that right?
No, Emily is going to check her calendar. She may even be there that evening working alongside us just in case somebody has questions. So we've invited her, and I'll ask Brianna too if she wants to come. But
Well, this is a very serious subject matter here in Logan County. As I said earlier, most of us on the street are just not aware of this at all. We're aware of the drug problem, acutely aware of that, but I don't think any of us knew that there are kits available who somebody has an immediate attack or need that will save them. If there's a serious overdose problem, will that be effective there, Emily?
We hope. I mean, the drug overdose reversal is one step, but we hope to help combat the problem in other ways as well.
From your mouth to God's ear, I certainly hope that it can be combated. When you're young, you think you're immortal, and you don't realize that someday you're going to be Bill's and my age.
boy, now there's
You don't want to fry your brain too bad before you get there.
Yeah.
I'm glad
I wish you hadn't brought that up. Kind of ruined my day this morning.
Didn't mean to.
Have you had any unusual experiences? I know we have a confidentiality matter, and we're being aware of that. Have you had any unusual experiences since you've been with us at the health department, Emily?
Unusual experiences.
On a day-to-day basis, probably, right?
Yeah, daily, I guess.
I mean, nothing too interesting. I have some interesting folks call, but besides that...
Oh, they're out there.
Besides the phone calls, I pretty much stay busy working on the Wellness Expo, and I have an event called Party, which is also positive actions related to youth. And that's,
acronyms.
Yes.
It's the age.
That's all of the 7th graders in Logan County come to that event. So I stay pretty busy working on that and working with the EMA folks to be on the emergency preparedness side. So
yeah, that's a big job. Boy, I tell you, there were a lot of communities who needed a lot of help just lately with
all the rain.
Monsoon. Yeah. So you work with Dan Fulcher then, I assume?
Yes.
Closely.
Yep.
Yeah. Good deal. Important.
The scope of your work, the area is strictly here in Logan County because that's your part of our health department. You interact with Sangamon County, McLean County, Menard County, so forth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my job's solely based on grants. Mm-hmm. So each grant has a region, and then we meet quarterly for that region. So I meet with all the counties in my region at least 4 times a year, but that's for each grant. So I meet with all the counties in my region quite regularly.
Now, you used a magic word, grant, Emily.
Yes.
That's pretty tenuous thing at best, something particularly now in today's times. Is there any danger, or are there any dangers of not being able to qualify for these grants, which are so very important? And the clock's almost got me now, but go ahead.
I don't know what's going to happen with the budget impasse. We are still not funded for all of our grants that we already qualified for the last fiscal year. Mm-hmm. So it will be interesting to see what comes after the spring, what happens for the grants that come out for next year.
You know, it's just personal commentary here. May I do that, Mrs. Busby, a political commentary?
Hey, go for it.
Why they can't sit down at a table and work for the common interest of the electorate, period, the broad electorate? I don't understand that.
May we run you for office?
No, I was asked to run for mayor once many years ago.
Did you hear
I was too smart for that.
The House isn't going to meet right now, just the Senate. They're busy. It's
beyond my ken why they can't do that. Our guests this morning have been Emily Hauter, Dr. Marcia and Dr. Drew Hauter's daughter, and her brother Ben, who perhaps may be in the medical profession down the road. Who knows? We also have soccer interest. But I just want to a real quick aside. Emily's father and mother, both, and she and her brother have been really involved in this Golden County shootouts we have annually here. We bring lots of people into the community to spend money at Culver's and all the other places like that. It's an interesting thing, and they've kind of the genesis of getting that thing started. So tip our hat to there. Toni, we thank you very much for bringing these young ladies with us this morning. Brianna, nice to have you with us this morning. Good luck to you in your career. We always try to close with it's not really germane to the topic of the day.
Can we put her telephone number back on the line just one more time?
Yes, please. Yes.
735.
Yeah, 735-2317 is the health department number.
Thank you. I appreciate that little heads up on that. Our quote this morning is about health generally. The best buy in public health today must be a combination of regular physical exercise and a healthy diet. Well, what's so profound about that? Thank you very much, Emily and Toni and Brianna. Thank you for Viewpoint.
Thank you for having me.